Australia to live a bohemian life in London. Travers spent much of her early 20s touring around Australia and New Zealand as an actress and dancer. That changed in 1924 when she headed to London. She moved to Bloomsbury, which had deep literary connections. As an up-and-coming writer, Travers cultivated a number of literary friendships in the British Isles, especially with poets A. and William Butler Yeats. She was a New Age junkie. One of the constants in Travers's life was her belief in myth and mysticism. She grew up hearing Irish folktales and fairy tales from her father. As an adult, Travers transferred her interest in fairy stories into a deep reverence for the mystical. Indeed, she became an ardent admirer of the mystic George Gurdjieff. She even attended meetings of a lesbian group called Wrote that Gurdjieff had started. In old age, she embraced the teachings of Jiddu Krishnamurti. She even wrote stories connected to Hinduism. Her interest in myths, mysticism, and symbols means that many scholars have concluded that Travers gave Mary Poppins some attributes and qualities consistent with mythology. She fell in love with both men and women. Throughout her life, P.L. Travers had passionate relationships with both men and women. One of the most influential relationships was with George Russell, a poet who published under the name A. It was a romance of both the head and the heart. Though biographers still debate whether or not it was a physical relationship, she was passionately in love with Francis McNamara, an Irish writer who was also a Lothario. Though the man married many times, he would never marry Travers. Travers also probably had intimate relationships with 3 women: her roommate Madge, married woman Jessie Orridge, and artist Gertrude Hermes. Her sympathies for socialism shaped her stories. Walt Disney was many things, but a socialist was certainly not one of them. So it is ironic that his film was based on a book whose author harbored sympathies for socialism. Before she published Mary Poppins, Travers had traveled to Russia, and she eventually published an account of her trip as Moscow excursion. When she visited Russia, much of the world was knee-deep in a devastating depression, and socialism was gathering many adherents. Though she never officially called herself a full-fledged socialist, Travers wrote Mary Poppins with sympathetic working-class characters that have a thing or two to teach the middle-class Banks children. Even the film adaptation advocates a social consciousness, Feed the Birds, and a skepticism about capitalism, Fidelity Fiduciary Bank. She may have been romantically involved with her female roommate. P.L. Travers famously guarded her personal life. But one thing is clear: one of the most important relationships in her adult life was with Madge Bernard. Bernard was Travers's roommate, though many biographers speculate whether or not there was more to the relationship than splitting bills. After all, while most roommates are only thrown together for a handful of years, the relationship between Travers and Bernard lasted an entire decade. It was at the cottage she shared with Bernard that Travers began writing Mary Poppins. Her adopted son had a twin brother whom she had refused to adopt because an astrologer advised her not to. Her adopted son had a twin brother whom she had refused to adopt because an astrologer advised her not to. Racist stories from Travers's childhood inspired Mary Poppins. Some of her earliest publications had erotic undertones that would have made Disney blush.
Read guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.